Parslow and Mr. Clinton, Conway, speaking and exposing corruption each and every day. Yeah, 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 yeah. Guyanese, Guyanese. Speaking out, yeah, 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 yeah. Up comes Parslow and Mr. Clinton, Conway, speaking and exposing corruption each and every day. Yeah, 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 yeah. Guyanese, Guyanese, turn on your TV and go to YouTube and listen to what Parslow and Conway to say. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Whole day we are calling for Parslow and Clinton Conway. They teach and educating, exposing the things in the system. We need a better Guyana for the little boys and the children poor. Slow and Clinton Conway.
All the money they invest, 2.2 billion.
Hear me when I sing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh.
And they would have gotten
Guyanese at home and abroad, please log into Conway as wide as it can reach. Parslow, you always will preach. Oh, yeah, yeah. Like and share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so this message could reach as far and every Guyanese will feel well. Oh, yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. Parslow and Clinton Conway, Paul and Conway, every day.
all the money they invest, 2.2 billion of our money. That money could have been invested someplace. They have to. Good morning, and welcome to the midweek's episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption, Incompetence. Welcome, one and all. Welcome. We had what? You were here on Monday, so Monday night, Tuesday night. Hope you had restful night, peaceful nights. And here we are again for another episode. Promises to be very, very interesting. So welcome. Today, Wednesday, the 21st day of January in the year of our Lord 2026. Got to make sure I get the year right. 2026, January, 21st of January. Another great day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Let's give praise and thanks for being in the land of the living. It is a privilege to be in the land of the living, and we should never, ever take that for granted. So welcome, share the life as you come on. You are the new theme song telling you, like and share. Hit the notification button. That is what the theme song is saying. So if you weren't listening to us when we spoke, I know music got a way of making an impression. So listen to the music, like and share, hit the notification button, let them know that we are on. Also, we said like and share. So do that. Another great day, as I said. My colleague, Mr. Conway, is in the studio. CC's here, ready and raring to go. So many things have happened over the past, 24 hours or so, even less than that since we were here last. And in the notification I mentioned last night, you have the speaker finally reluctantly indicating that the meeting to elect the leader of the opposition will be called on Monday. We can go into it in detail. We are going to go into that in detail. Then we have follow-up on the sex scandal in the police training institution. So call you fellas, man. Take up a vantage point. Get your Coke and popcorn. This is 12 o'clock, just past 12 o'clock. If you are a regular worker, you're on your lunch break for now. You should be on your break. If you're at home, cock up, man. Get your thing and sit back, relax. And we are going to come and we're going to bring the credible, valuable information to you. So the other usual thing, we're going to do a quick roll call acknowledging those who came in early. And I noted within the first minute this morning, many of you came in. You're taking chance. Many came in and to take up in the yard, they came into the yard, and what we have, first man in from down up the hills or down the hills, what you want to say, Mr. Ballhead, first man to come to be recognized this morning. Then we have Wayne from the UK. Then it was Ian Lucius. Ian coming in early, steady now. Partly his parents are allowing him to leave home to get into the schoolyard very early. Then we have Kenneth from Maryland. Leon Gabo is here. Paulette. Kerry from in Guyana. Peter. Felicia. Danny. Sean from upstate New York. Vashti. Brantley. Gaston Taylor from Canada. Then it was Mark. Then Brennan. Brennan came in early today, man. Welcome, Brennan. Fergus, Rawl, Ivor, Aubrey from Canada, Joan, New Amsterdam. Then it was Paulette. And then it was, who is that? Evelyn, Sandra, Nicola, Janella, Denise. This is Denise Moore from Florida. Orin from the UK. Joy. Then Anthony Bradshaw, Peters Hall on the East Bank. Then it was Derek Trotty, Clarence, Marcus. All those people came in within the first minute of the gate being open. We also had people like Winston coming shortly after, George, Courtney, Albert, and the list goes. And when the doors were open, let's see how they came into the classroom. Once the doors were open, let me scroll down to see how they are. Commissioner Cole, I have the honor of being the first person in listed on Facebook. It was Tian, then Colvis, always here very early. Then it was Junior, Tessa, Rhonda, then I'm still in the house. Haltia, Steve, Habu. Then it was, let me see, Rosie Rose, Lorelli. These are regulars, always here. Pam, Carlton Popo, Pam from West Demerara. All of these people came in very, very early, and we appreciate your early attendance. We appreciate your early attendance. So now let me give you the announcements. As you would have grown accustomed to now, we start with the sad ones, then we move on. And today, 677 days, Sergeant Alex Vaughan was killed. 677 days since he was shot and killed. Police Sergeant Alex Vaughan, and they told us it was some accident, and we're not hearing anything more. But we're going to keep asking questions. We're going to keep asking questions. I know on Monday, I told you about the funeral arrangements for retired Assistant Superintendent Ormond Wince. Now, we got word yesterday, and it's sad again, because if you recall, Wince was driving his car, taking his grandson home, and it is said that he suffered a cardiac episode, heart attack or something like that. And he died from the heart attack, and the car crashed. The child was injured, and we are now being told that the child died, I think, sometime on Monday. So the funeral that was to be kept today for Ormond will no longer be kept today, but tomorrow, Thursday, both Ormond and his grandson are going to be buried. Both Ormond and grandson, viewing, I understand, Marymount's funeral home. I'll make sure I get it right. His grandson, Arian, I think is his name. And tomorrow, viewing from 9:30 to 10:30 at Marymount's funeral home. And then the funeral service will be at the Revival Temple Pentecostal Ministry, New Amsterdam. So they both travel to New Amsterdam from Marymount's funeral home. But really sad, really, really sad. Ormond, cardiac, car crash, the grandson there, and the grandson died. I don't know if the grandson was in front where he was, but that is an issue too in Guyana, because children are not put in protective seats, restraining seats. In the US and other places, you dare not do that. Once the child is of a certain age, you can't have him sitting in the front seat or even in the back seat without being in one of those child booster seats, right? But many of us can relate to seeing persons in Guyana driving, and they're small children sitting on their lap. right? All this part of the safety concerns. So again, I said, I don't know where this child was sitting, but the child got injured and the child died on Monday. Grandfather died, well, heart attack, I guess. And then the child died on Monday, gone. And the funeral for those persons will be on tomorrow, Thursday, 9:30 to 10:30 viewing at Merriman's home. Then the both bodies travel to New Amsterdam for church service and burial. And then I told you too some time ago about the death of Michael Scott. When Michael Scott, who was the husband of Marva Glasgow, late police woman Marva Glasgow, who died a few months ago. And then her husband traveled to Guyana, I think it's 2 Mondays ago, and died the next day. He traveled to Guyana on the Monday, and he died the Tuesday. Information is that he'll be buried on the 28th of this month, and funeral service will be at Annandale Assembly of God. Well, that is what we have in terms of falling of the. We also have the death of Remo, a famous reggae musician, Stephen Katz Core from Third World. You know, so I'm gonna play a little something for you to the younger people might not know what we're talking about. So I'm gonna go into a little tribute to Katz in a while. Now for the happier, for the more pleasant announcements, let me tell you about their greetings. Today, Woman Inspector Marsha Murray and also Woman Inspector, I think, O.J. Lake. They also former member Winston Bino. So we have 3 bodies listed today. Marsha Murray, Woman Inspector, Police Woman Inspector, O.J. Lake, another female inspector, and former member Winston Bino is observing a natal day today. And belated birthday greetings are going out to retired woman Deputy Superintendent Donna Ferguson. I don't know, we missed this, so give her in advance. But when I was checking through, I saw that Donna had a birth anniversary yesterday. And then in terms of advanced birthday greetings, we have my squad mate, Philip Roberts, 9545 Roberts. Philip is going to be observing, I think it's tomorrow. Also observing will be retired Woman Assistant Superintendent Adana Beresford. Barry is going to be observing shortly. And a young man who is a very respectable young man. Many of you may not know him. Orwin Chapman, right? I know Orwin from the barbershop. Upper level, we meet there and we tease each other. We used to play dominoes and so on. So Orwin is going to be celebrating shortly as well. So I want to express condolences to the people in terms of those who died, and congratulations to all those who are celebrating the birth anniversary, who celebrated recently, who are celebrating in the near future, and who are celebrating today. So happy birth anniversary to them. Now, before I bring in CC, cricket going on, West Indies and Afghanistan again. They got another uphill task because they got Afghanistan batted for us 189 for 4. 189 for 4. They haven't started a reply. So let's see how that will go. And then we have a game with India and New Zealand. That is a T20. India batted for us 238 for 7 of their 20 overs. 238. That's a score with teeth. And New Zealand, up in their 6th over, are 75 for 3. 75 for 3 wicket down. Let me bring in CC, and then we're going to do some more stuff. CC, welcome. Hope you had a restful night.
Yeah, good morning. Happy to be in the land of the living to do God's work. Yes, I had a very restful couple days. So I want to express congratulations to those persons who saw another day, and also to condolences to the relatives, family, friends of those persons who pass on. Cricket, well, I'm not going to predict any kind of thing when we in Afghanistan, Boy, I observed that in the last match, our Guyanese boy, I can't remember his name, I think say this is the police made his debut and he top score. I don't know
Samson,
what he's going to do this time.
Quinton Samson, yeah, Quinton Samson.
Yeah, Quentin Sampson top score, but you got to be careful with those short pitch deliveries. And I think the Chinese, they had sorted him out, but I think by now he should be able to put himself in order. I like him, and I think he's going to do very, very well.
Yeah, he made his debut, and I remember some years ago, I think it was 1991, when Chanda Paul made his debut against England at the border. I was there. There was a particular commentator who said that Shivran Chanda Paul was making his first debut. And therefore, that was a big joke around the place. Because people start to find out from me when he's going to make the second and when he's going to make the third. You don't realize the meaning of debut. Right? Chanda Paul about to make his first debut. And then he became the butt of a lot of jokes around the place. So yes. Let me move on. What more do we have to announce? Now, let me go straight into this issue to follow up. Now, we told you it was the last, today is Wednesday, I think Friday. No, Monday it was. We told you about this incident that we saw where it appeared as though a man shot himself, right? They said the man was a wanted man, but then there was a lot of questions as to whether he faked it or if he did not fake it and all that type of thing. They had that thing. Police said they ain't get no report was made, right? And they were a lot of suspicion because they said they didn't see blood and all kind of thing. But I told you all then that based on the examination that I did of that short video, I was convinced that the man shot himself. The man shot himself because the man obviously did not know how the firearm operates. He did not know the mechanism. So what he did, he dropped the magazine, make sure that he showed that there was a wrong in the breech, and then he closed the breech. He put the gun to his head, he pulled the trigger, not recognizing perhaps that with that mechanism for that particular firearm, it can fire without the magazine in. As I explained to you, there are some firearms, some pistols, that once you drop the magazine, that deactivates the firing mechanism, and the pistol cannot fire. Most of these modern pistols that I know of, you drop the magazine, a rung in the breech, it can still fire. And apparently, this man did not know that. So he put the gun to his head, and then he pulled the trigger and badam. And to hear the man nearby, ball, oh God, that also convinced me that this thing was real. Because he put bad man partner, make a whole set of noise and cry and bawl and so on. Now, they got an update on that this morning, and let me read what Travis Chase is reporting. Police have recovered the burnt remains of a man in Phase 3, Wisrock, Linden, believed to be that of Jamal Bourne, also known as Skinny, who was wanted by the law enforcement in connection with several serious criminal offenses. He's wanted no more. The remains were discovered Wednesday morning, that is this morning, in Phase 3, Wisrock, Linden. Sources say the body was burnt beyond recognition, with body parts found scattered in the area. Sources familiar with the investigation have also confirmed that the man who appeared in the live stream alongside Bourne is cooperating with investigators. Several illegal firearms have been seized by police. 6 persons are also in custody. Bourne had drawn national attention just days earlier after appearing in live stream video alongside another man, during which both were seen openly displaying cutlass, knives, and high-powered firearms. During the broadcast, threats were issued towards individuals described as enemies. At one point, Bourne was seen playing Russian roulette with the firearm. Moments later, a loud explosion was heard and Bourne collapsed on camera, after which the live stream ended abruptly. Prior to the incident, Bourne had appeared on television publicly denying allegations against him, following the issuance of a police wanted bulletin. With the discovery of the remains, police believe to be his, police are now examining the viral footage alongside forensic evidence to determine the exact circumstances surrounding the death. Well, the circumstances surrounding his death in doubt as far as I see. That is not in doubt, right? Because if you put whatever it is, whether it's a 3-2 or what, they put a gun to your head, as he did, and you pull the trigger, and the gun go off, is a dead man, right? But I believe if it is indeed this person, that would have been a too easy way for him to go out. Too easy way, because he didn't even know what's going on. It's not a case where a man decides, well, look, I'm going to commit suicide, and therefore you have all other issues running through your mind and all that. This is a man who, when he squeezed the trigger, did not expect the firearm to go off. So he had know nothing. It's just light switch, light out right away, light out. Let me tell my friend Travis here, you can't play Russian roulette with a pistol. Let me understand. The mechanism of a pistol, right, it's not Russian roulette. Russian roulette is played with some firearm with a cylinder, right, like a revolver with a cylinder. Because what you do, let's say it's a 6-shooter, you put one rung inside the chamber, so 5 chambers are empty. Then you spin the cylinder, and then you can't be sure which is the cylinder that falls under the ammo. And then when you squeeze the trigger, if it is click, there's a little bit touching and so on. Click, because it's an empty chamber, right? And if you're unfortunate and when you spin it, it comes off under the ammo, the chamber that is lined up with the ammo on the barrel. That's it, light out, right? So what they have to do now, I would think, and I know the police would know that, is that they got to identify the body properly. Because the body is born beyond recognition, it's either fingerprint, because you might still be able to get fingerprint to determine the identity. It's dental records, if he has dental records, or DNA. That's the only way you can really positively identify this person now. DNA, I'm sure you would have relatives, whether it's his mother, his father, his sister, or some family member. So you do DNA, and I ain't got to tell them about DNA. You're going to get DNA from the remains that you find. And so there's going to be the known samples, or the known sample, and then that's going to be the unknown sample. That is going to be the unknown, because you have the sample, you don't know who this is. Then you're going to get a relative or so. Then from that relative, you're going to get the known sample, right? And then they do the magic, and they're going to be able to say conclusively that it is this person or so. But you know, them bad man, cruel man, your partner dead. They haven't even tried to give him a decent burial, man. They did not even try to give the partner a decent burial. They just, according to what is being reported, they chop you up and try to burn you up. They chopped him and tried to burn him up, right? So bad man, that's the way bad man went out. That's the way the bad man went out. So the police are investigating, but the police issued a release this morning, and the police said that they found one firearm, which they had a picture with it. But Travis is saying that several firearms were recovered, because one of the first questions that you're going to ask, because during the video that we saw, several guns were displayed. Several. I think I counted about 4 to 5 that were displayed. And I would want to think that they would want to know where those guns are. Once they now confirm that they ain't confirmed yet, but they suspect that this is the person who was there displaying. They want to know where the guns are. That is very important. And when you know where the guns, if you get the guns, including the one that you said recover, proper ballistic examination is needed. And CC has lamented on this. Proper ballistic examination to determine if those firearms were used at any other crime, at any crime scene. You need to do that. You do a ballistic, and once you had secured ballistic evidence from previous crime scenes, you ought to be able to say whether those same firearms were used at the scene. So, if it is this bad man what they talk about, the bad man gone home for good, and the body has been recovered. So all the skepticism that they had as to whether it was indeed this man who was there, or whether he faked this thing and so on, the evidence seems now to suggest that it was indeed this wanted man, Skinny, and the death wasn't fake. That is what is coming through now. So, and again, yes, comes, they get a lot of stuff for proper DNA, you know. Because once you recover the remains there, you get whole set of things. You get teeth, you get body tissue, you get ear, you get all, there's a DNA gold field, man. You get everything that you want to get there from the DNA, right? Everything they get for DNA. So they also said that the other man who was there with him when this incident occurred is cooperating with the police. So I suspect by now he would have told them all that happened, how this thing happened, played out, and so on. So a thorough interrogation is done, and they get all the information, including whether they were involved in other crimes and so on. Because I don't think they had all of those firearms there just to puppy show. I don't think they had it just to that. I'm bringing CC, and then we're going to move on. So we just brought you up to date with that. I know many of you might have read it, but we brought you up to date because we reported it on Monday, and you need to know what has happened there. CC, your take.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, you know, it called for a lot of DNA forensic investigation. And I hope they will utilize the expertise of the persons who is responsible for training, you know. Remember, she went to Russia, spent how much, 4 years or thereabout, forensic science. She in training. Perhaps they can utilize her now, you know, to see what could be done, you know. So they have the expertise, or they might kind of Indianize the thing as they've been doing. They might send thing to India, or get some Indian experts, you know, come to Guyana and do some work. Well, here's it: you have an opportunity of somebody who's highly qualified in the field of forensic and DNA and other things there. They're buttoned down in training. Don't mind training gone. Or training is so, I want to use a word, but I'm not going to use the word. But let's see what's going to happen.
Yeah, well, you know, so based on the comment, they can't be certain who the person was. His accomplice or the man who was there with him, no doubt, would have said, yes, this is he. The man who was there with them when they questioning the man might have acknowledged that this was Skinny indeed. But police work, you can't just go, you got to still confirm. You have to confirm. And if the body is born beyond recognition, you have to confirm it forensically, right? So yes, understand this. The man say, hey, is Skinny shoot himself and his Skinny body born up here. Of course, they have to say who born the body. That too is an offense, you know, if you try to do them type of thing with desecrate a body. So a whole set of stuff coming down there. But they will have to get confirmation that the remains that were found, and this is scientific confirmation, forensic confirmation, were that of Skinny. And I hope they don't do like when they had the Lindo Creek, you know, because when those remains of the Lindo Creek persons were found, it took years. I don't think if they ever resolved that issue in terms of DNA testing and so on. Years to think. Well, they might want to argue now because they tell you about this modern forensic laboratory and they get people from India who manning the laboratory. Yet still, when we had the bombing at the gas station not so long ago, they had to send samples to India to be examined. So, you know, let me wait and see what will happen. But you know how the police operate. So wait and then I'll tell you nothing more. They give this initial release and you can't hold your breath for next release to come, right? You cannot hold your breath for a next release to come. Now, the other matter I want to talk about this morning, right, is this development overnight, talking about it with Parliament. Now, by now, everybody know, we had general and regional elections on September the 1st, right? 2025. The government delay the convening of Parliament. The Constitution allows them 4 months because they dissolved Parliament in July of 2025. And according to the Constitution, the new parliament should have been convened no later than the 2nd of November. Then they did not stick within that window. They call it on the 3rd, a day outside. And let me remind you that that was a Monday when they called the 3rd of November. The Friday before, I think that was the 31st of October, they arrested Azzuddin Mohammed and his father. By now, you know Azzuddin Mohammed party, the When We Invest in Nationhood, won 16 of the 16 seats, APNU 12, and Forward Ghana Movement 1. So Azzuddin Mohammed Win Party controls the majority of the opposition seats, right? They arrest Azzuddin on the Friday and pass it through court, arranged what was basically a special court, because they brought them on the street down from Diamond to inquire into this matter. Magistrate put Azzuddin Mohammed and his father on bail. Well, that was a big shock to them because they have said so openly that it should not have been granted bail. The plan seems to have been arrest Friday, get remand, Parliament will convene on the Monday, and therefore it would have been a no-show. So he could not have been sworn in as the member of Parliament. So things went south. Bail granted, Azzuddin turned up with his Lamborghini, right, to be sworn in, and was sworn in as a member of Parliament. Because it's the first stage. In order for you to be the leader of the opposition, you have to first be sworn in as a member of Parliament. So that one was done. Nadir had no choice there because the date was already announced when they arrest Azzuddin and pass it through court. But as I've said, with an expectation that he would not have been out as a free man. Anyhow, so therefore, after then, is a lot of dancing taking place. A lot of dancing. The speaker who should have called, who had the opportunity, let me put it this way, who had the opportunity to call the meeting of members of the opposition on the same day, November the 3rd, because they were all there. And if you go by what took place in the past, there was nothing preventing the speaker, Mansour Nadir, from calling the meeting of members of the opposition the same day, the 3rd of November, and let them elect who they want to be the leader. But no, they want Azzuddin Mohammed be the leader of the opposition. They actually the successor, despite the fact that the come and tell you that has nothing to do with the delay. I am saying it had everything to do with the delay of the Parliament. Everything to do with the delay. So they're dancing in November, the same month. The speaker was out of the country. So the president made a statement basically saying, well, we know that he's out of the country and therefore that is the reason. He didn't say that therefore that is the reason. He implied that is the reason why this meeting wasn't called during the month of November. He returned. Now he returned. President had an engagement at the Artachon Convention Center where you read out some plan. Nadir was front seat there. Go meeting to elect the leader of the opposition. It got to the point where the ABCU, American, British, Canadian, European Union, and many other entities have come out and said, look, this thing, if you're talking about democracy, there's need for you to have a leader of the opposition. The people came out, many of them, private institutions as well, came out, calling, the opposition parties came out, called, wrote, and all this type of thing. You ain't calling the meeting. Well, the pressure was, the ante was up. So last evening, members of the We Invest, or supporters of the We Invest party, went to where Mansour Nadir lives to protest. Right? They went there where he lived to protest. And protest they did. Now, let me say this, because the police turned up, as they are expected to do, but it has been reported, I didn't get to listen to what the young officer was telling Odessa Primus, who is a member of the Win Party. But the impression conveyed to me is that he was telling them that they needed to get permission to protest, right? you need to get permission to protest. But let me say this to the young officer and all the other policemen and all the students here listening. There is no law that requires permission to hold a peaceful protest or any protest. There's no such law. Let me understand it clearly. The Public Order Act, Chapter 1603, I think it is, speaks about meetings and processions. And the only time that you have to get permission is if you want to hold a procession. Now, what is a procession? A procession is a march in a public place. I remember it early years. These are things I used to lecture on. So if you are going to, the law says that anyone who desires to hold a procession other than a funeral procession. Let me repeat that for the benefit of policemen in particular. The law says that anyone who desires to hold a procession other than a funeral procession must seek the permission in writing from the chief officer of police, right? The chief officer of police is defined in the law as the person in charge of the police division in which the procession is to be held. I left the Ghana police force over 15 years. I'm into my 16th year now. And I remember all of these things because I used to lecture on it. I did research to lecture. So there's no requirement for you to get permission to hold a demonstration as the thing. And that comes under, I think, is some labor act or something like that, which gives people the right to go and to picket and to process. And then that tells you how it should be done. You can't block entrances, egress and entrance. You can't be static. You got to keep moving. You should get peaceful picket on your right and your thing, and you keep moving. That is not under the any one of the laws, summary jurisdiction, criminal offenses, or even the Public Order Act. That is found elsewhere. So if they go and research and find it where it is, if you're gonna hold a protest as they had, you would have to get permission to use a loudela, a noisy instrument, the law calls it, a noisy instrument. So if you want to use a noisy instrument, you have got to get permission from the police to do that, to use that. But if you go in there and you're talking, no matter how loud your voice is, that is not considered noisy instrument. So you can go and you can shout and all this type of thing. I remember, well, maybe CC remember too, in the days of Gajraj, when people used to go there, those women from the PNC used to turn up at his residence and early morning and so on, make a whole set of noise and so on, right? Blow, sing, song, and those type of thing. And then Gajraj make enough noise. They need to get permission for noisy instrument and all this type of thing. And that was conveyed to them. And the people decide, well, they're not using any noisy instrument. They can just sing. I used to sing a lot of religious songs, what they call hymns and sankis and so on. And the thing is so upsetting, tell you. If you all know about it, you are sure ask Errol Watts, who is now Deputy Commissioner. He used to be the man sent to monitor those people there. He used to be the man. So there's no need for you to get permission to protest. And here, the next thing before bringing CC, you have a lot more to talk about this. I don't know that there's any law which says with the timing during which you have to hold if you want to protest. Because I hear they was telling them you can't protest in the night. Where the law there, right? Where is that law? Where? I don't know of any such. Maybe they had recent laws that I'm not aware of, so they can tell them, right? Well then. So you had the protest last night, and then while the protest was going on, or even before the protest, we learned that the Speaker of the National Assembly, Mansour Nadir, is scheduled to make a national announcement on the National Communications Network at 7:30 Ghana time last night. 7:30 Ghana time, which he proceeded to do. While going into the part yet, let me give CC a chance to comment, and then I'm going to deal, because this is something I got to go into in detail, because Nadir come out there last night and disgraced himself even further. CC, your take on this thing so far.
Well, you did swing from Nadir to the Public Order Act, which is very good. And I'll go into it after you pronounce later on. But notification required of meetings in public places. Section 31C. Any person desires to hold a meeting in a public place not less than 48 hours and not more than 1 month previous to the time of which he desire to hold such meeting, notify the appropriate officer of police of his intention to hold a said meeting and of the time and place to which the meeting is to be held. Where all they have to do, give the police notification where the meeting will be held. And that is the person in charge of the station. Now, there's some other part of the act which I wish to read to you. Let me just bear with me a bit. Here we go. All right. And they talk about who could regulate these public meetings. In Georgetown, not below the rank of an assistant superintendent. In New Amsterdam, not below the rank of a sub-inspector. And in all other parts of Guyana, not below the rank of a sergeant, or the rank for the time being in charge of the station. That's section 4.1. And 4.2 saying, any person who desires to hold a public procession other than a funeral procession shall not less than 48 hours previous to the time of which desire to hold such meeting, processions, apply in writing to the chief officer of police for permission to hold the procession. If the chief officer of police grants permission, he shall at the same time order in writing the routes to be followed and times during which the procession may pass along such routes, and shall give any special order which he may consider necessary in relation to such procession. Every person who holds or takes part in such procession shall conform with the chief officer of police. Then this one here. Subject to the regulation made under this act, any person who holds, organizes, forms, speaks, or takes part in any public meeting in public place or which any noisy instrument is used without the permission of the police officer shall be guilty of an offense. And according to the act here, the noisy instrument means noisy instrument includes loudspeaker, amplifiers, and jukeboxes. Long time I hear about jukeboxes. Noisy instrument includes loudspeaker, amplifier, and jukeboxes. So if they want to hold a meeting, all they gotta do, notify the officer in charge of the station or the person in charge of the station of their intention to hold the meeting. And if they want to hold processions, they apply to the commando, and they will state the routes which will pass, the date and time and so on of the processions. So the act is clear, and for those youngsters, they should read the Public Order Act. It's a very small act, and they should read it and get themselves because they're going very well before long get a lot of meetings and processions coming out about the place.
All right. So let me say this. We're talking about three things: a meeting, procession under the Public Order Act, right? A meeting where you don't have to get permission, you give notification, right, to the appropriate officer of police. And the law defines the appropriate officer of police as the person in charge of the station closest to which the meeting is to be held. Appropriate. Then if you want to have a procession other than a funeral procession, the law says that you have to make a written application to the chief officer of police. And the chief officer of police, don't get mixed up, the chief officer of police is the police divisional commander in which this procession is to be held. What is a procession? The law defines a procession as a march in a public place. And then the third thing we're talking about, so we talked there about meetings, processions under the Public Order Act. Now, when you talk about demonstrations or picketing, right, that doesn't come under the Public Order Act. So understand it, youngsters, your officers, you are going to do the research. There's a total different piece of legislation, and it tells you, I think it's the thing, the Industrial Act, the Labor and Release, and it tells you how that should be conducted. So they don't have to get no permission. People want to go and picket for any reason, you got to get permission. But it says what you can and cannot do. So you all understand that clearly. Now, good. Let me take a break from this Nadir thing. We're coming back, Nadir, and I'm done for just now. Because at the beginning, I told you about the death of the guy from Third World. Remember? I mentioned it. Mr. Coors, a cat's the name, Stephen Coor, Cat Coor. For those who don't, that was the days of what we call reggae in the early 80s and so on, right? Late 70s, early 80s, Bob Marley, Peter Tosh, Bonnie Wheeler. In terms of the band, you had Third World, you had, and many others, right? But if you remember, and for those older folks too, Third World actually came to Ghana in the early 80s. They performed, I understand, in Linden. They performed in New Amsterdam, and at the National Park, they performed. Because that was the thing. That was the thing, right? Third World. And one of the songs that I love for Third World, I'm going to play it for those of you who remember, is they sang the song, Now That We Found Love, what are we going to do with it? All the folks will remember that. Now that we found love, what are we going to do with it? Here we go. The question is asked, now that we found love, what are we going to do with it? Those were the days. Those were the days as a youth man, third world, steel pulse, right? And they had Try Jah Love, 96 Degrees in the Shade. And yes, so this song was originally by the OJs, but I think it's the third world that really popularized that song, Now That We Found Love, right? So there's a tribute to Cats who passed away recently at the age of 69. And some people are telling me here that they actually toured Guyana in 1978 and they performed at the Cultural Center and not the National Park, right? So that's when music was music, man. Music, when you hear Third World, Steel Pulse, Bodyguard, right? And dancing in the streets and them type of thing. Good music. So there was a break from this stressful thing with Parliament and Nadir and them. Well, let me continue, right? Let me continue. I think you had a well-deserved break there, but let me continue. There's so much to say about what transpired there with the speaker last. First of all, I'm saying that all the speaker is required to do, according to the Constitution, Article 184 of the Constitution, once the parliamentarians were sworn in, all he's required to do is to call a meeting of the members of the opposition for them to determine who will be the opposition leader. The speaker got there last night and talk a old crap of nonsense and just confirm, when they talk, I say when they talk, I love it. It just confirmed what many of us believe, that the reason why he did not call the meeting is because they don't want Azzuddin Mohammed to be the member, the leader of the opposition. Clear as crystal. He actually said so. He said so last night. But that's not Ewok. You talk about democracy, regardless of who the person is. You went through that process. You had election on the 1st of September. And Azzuddin Mohammed got the largest block of votes in the opposition. That is not for you, Mansour Nadi, to determine who must be the speaker. Even if he's a murderer or whatever it is, that is not for you. The Constitution does not give you that authority. All you have to do is summon the meeting, you chair the meeting, and they elect who they want to be as the leader of the opposition. That is what the Constitution says, right? So Nadir went there last night on NCN, and the man put on, he red dress, he got abused. So having said what he had to say, I'm going to go through some of the statements that he made last night. The man abused out the American, he abused out the Canadian, and he talk a whole set of crap. He talk, a scandal according to what a scandal about he thing the last night. He got audience there, he got other thing. Everybody man say, here somebody is a long, for those of you who want to read it, it's in today's Starbrook News. And it says, I'm not going to read the whole thing, it's long, but 7 pages, right? But I've highlighted certain parts that we need to understand. First of all, the headline is opposition leader to be elected Monday. That is what Nadir says. Rebuke diplomats, describe Mohammed as a fugitive. Now let me caution the politicians. Let me take the liberty of cautioning the politicians. I'm talking particularly about the politicians in the opposition and the Guyanese population, both in Guyana and abroad. Let me understand. The speaker made this announcement last night on NCN. And the speaker decides that this meeting is going to be kept on Monday, right? Monday at 10 a.m. Now, y'all forgive me for being a little suspicious and all that. Y'all forgive me. But if there's let's assume there's urgency to this thing. First of all, why he did not call it in November? They say he been out of the country, he came back. Then he went again, say he went, he not gonna mention anything, I'll go into it in detail. Why he didn't call it? So when you decide, or when you were instructed to have this meeting, or when you were pressured by the international community and all these people to have this meeting, why this meeting wasn't held today? Why this meeting wasn't held today? Why you have to wait until Monday for the meeting to be held? Folks, I believe mischief is afoot. Listen to me carefully, especially politicians, opposition member of parliament. I believe mischief is afoot. So look to see what's going to happen between now and Monday. Look to see what is going to happen between now and Monday, right? I am taking this thing at face value. These people are devious. They are devious. They are treacherous, right? But talking about treachery, imagine part of the pressure, Charan Das, who is likened to Judas Iscariot, that Bible character who betrayed Jesus. He came out yesterday with a statement, criticizing Nadir for not calling Parliament. Joey Jagan, the son of the late President Chari Jagan and Janet Jagan, came out and he wrote something. Everybody, so maybe he feel pressured and he decided they're going to have the meeting. But the meeting is going to be held on Monday, right? Meeting is going to be held on Monday. And hear this. Remember, they had already announced that the budget will be read on Monday. And I think normally one would expect a budget to be held at they'll start the reading, Parliament convene around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. When Ashley Singh can go and read the budget there. A long, long budget, far longer than he is, because he's one of them little man. And so 10 o'clock in the morning, the members of the opposition will have to assemble for this meeting. They don't know how long they're going to go. But then 2 o'clock, the very day, you have the budget to be read. So what's going to happen there? I can't, do we expect that after the meeting at 10 o'clock, we don't know how long they're going to last, but the meeting just elect the members of the opposition, the leader of the opposition. We can't expect that for hours and hours and hours. So chances are, let me say last 2 hours. So from 10 to 12. So they have to stay for the afternoon sitting to hear the budget. That is what they're telling us. That is what they're telling those people now. That is what they're telling them, right? So don't take anything at face value between now and Monday. Let's look to see what will happen, because I am saying, to me, it is extremely suspicious that this meeting wasn't called today. First of all, it wasn't called before, between November the 3rd and all this time, right? So let me go into some of the things that his letter said. You hear what he says here, right? And I remember you're reading this whole thing. He said, quote, I intended upon my return from representing our National Assembly and our country at the 28th Conference of Speakers of Presiding Officers of the Commonwealth to convene the meeting for the election of the leader of the opposition, regardless of how that vote will go. That's what Nadir saying last night. He had intended, when he come back, he been to India, New Delhi, to attend this meeting. So why wait till then? What happened between when the Parliament was first convened on the 3rd of November to when you come? What happened all this time? What happened? So he makes that statement, and then he goes on and he says here again, he said, in the discharge of my constitutional duties, which rest solely within my purview, I have asked the clerk of the National Assembly to convene a meeting of all the non-governmental members of Parliament for 10 a.m. on Monday, the 26th of January, 2026. And this is for this election of the leader of the opposition. Belatedly, calling why he couldn't do it before? Why that could not be done? And let me say this, because he given the impression that it's only he could do it. Article 158(7) of the Constitution makes it clear that if the Speaker is out of the country, the Deputy Speaker can fill in to do all of this. The Deputy Speaker can fill in, right? So let me understand. Now let me go on. He said, everybody says here, Nadir said he hoped those participating in the process would be mindful of the height such an office holds and of the country's reputation. Nadir, is not your business. Mansour Nadir, that is not your business. Again, he's saying that he hoped that the persons participating in the process would be mindful of the heights of such an office holds. That's what he said. And the country's reputation. What reputation? What reputation? as a corrupt country where all the gold smuggling and cocaine and tongue pass through? What reputation are you talking about? Let me go on. He said, quote, I trust that those involved in the process would be guided by the dignity of the house, the reputation of our country, and the sanctity of the responsibility that has been entrusted upon them by the electorate. What happened to the responsibility entrusted in you to be Speaker of the National Assembly and to call this meeting and to do other things? This the man talk about dignity, the most undignified, because when you come to it, you say, in the most undignified manner, he attacked the American ambassador and the High Commissioner to Canada. And in the same breath, in the same release, he talking about dignity. He talking about dignity and sanctity of responsibility that has been entrusted upon them. What about the dignity and the sanctity of responsibility that was entrusted in you when you were elected Speaker of the National Assembly? Right? Then he goes on. Then the article goes on. Yesterday was the first time that Nadir had addressed the non-election of the leader of the opposition. It appears as if the process had been delayed in light of extradition proceedings that are currently on the way against Mohammed. Correct. That is why it was delayed. Despite what they say, that is why it was delayed. Another excerpt here says, the quote in here, the positions expressed by some sections of the media, some diplomats and opposition members, which give the impression that the National Assembly has deliberately been inactive. They are false and an outright absurdity, end of quote, Nadir said. He said that the 13th Parliament, from the time it was convened on the 3rd of November, has been functional and has been in receipt of over 90 questions and 5 motions, which have been received by the clerk, analyzed, processed, and decisions communicated to the opposition members. That is not the point, Manjuna dear. That is not the point. The point is that you refuse to call a meeting to elect the leader of the opposition. That is the point. So when you come in to talk all them thing about the Parliament active and the Parliament receive 90 questions, that is not the point. I don't think anybody will dispute that. What we are saying, that is a requirement for a leader of the opposition, and you are the one who is constitutionally responsible for calling that meeting for that person to be elected, right? Let me move on to some of the other things he said. Here what they say, a significant portion of Nadir's address was devoted to a pointed rebuke of the international diplomatic community, particularly the United States Ambassador to Guyana, Nicole Thireau, and Canadian High Commissioner Sebastian Sigoyen, both of whom had urged parliamentary normalcy. I know this blast from Nadir last night reminded me of Priya Manikchand and Gail Teixeira. Some years ago, when the U.S. ambassador had an activity to celebrate the independence of America, and they were invited. Priya Manikchand was, I think, carrying out the functions of Foreign Affairs Minister. She went in there and she abused him. She go home and then people talk about dignity and decorum and so on. She went into the U.S. ambassador's residence, right, on the East Coast there, and abused out, so much so that during our abuse out, other guests who were there, boo her openly, boo. And they talk about decorum and they talk about decency. They have none. They don't know what it is. So Nadir come last night and he calling out the British High Commissioner and the U.S. Ambassador. And hear what he says here. Quote, to the U.S. Ambassador to Guyana, I asked who is the leader of the opposition in your country. Nadir said. And the quote Nadir said. Quote again, does the absence of an opposition leader interfere with your country's democratic process? When I say this, I said, no, we can have a Speaker of the National Assembly who don't understand the system. Opposition leader, she asking the U.S. ambassador, who is the leader of the opposition in the U.S.? The U.S. has a different system, and they have 2 main parties, the Republicans and the Democrats. They have independents too, but then they have what they call the minority leader. They have the you have Akrim Jeffries hold the position there. And then you have Chuck Schumer, because they, unlike Guyana, where you have a unicameral legislature, America is a bicameral. You have the Senate, which is the upper house, the thing, and you have the House of Assembly, which is the lower house. Hakeem Jeffrey is the leader, the Democratic leader in the lower house, and Chuck Schumer is the leader in the upper house, which is the Senate, right? So I don't know what Nadir asking here, but you look like you drink this Kool-Aid, what some people commenting. You drink the Kool-Aid and you get stupidity like that. Well, not get stupidity. Because you say get stupidity, you're implying that at some stage you were sensible. But it appears as though you get more stupidity. Let me be grammatically correct. You get, grammatically correct, you get more stupid, right? To ask the US ambassador who is the leader of the opposition of your country, and then does the absence of an opposition leader interfere with your country's democratic process? What nonsense is this from a man who owns? And don't forget, because when you talk about the order of succession in Guyana, it is the president, the prime minister comes next, and I think the speaker of the National Assembly is number 3. So if God forbid and something happened to Irfan Ali and Mark Phillips at the same time, is Nadir is the speaker, is the president? I think that is the order, right? So the word Barrel Jagdeo in the line is the president, the prime minister, then the speaker of the National Assembly. That's the order of succession. And to have a man so close to the throne to ask this nonsenseness, right? It is very, very worrying. And then he goes on. Turning to Canada, Nadir said, "To my dear friend from the Canadian High Commission, your great democracy took 6 months to produce a budget last year, and your country has the unique distinction of having a person who was never elected to Parliament serve as Prime Minister, a person imposed on the citizens of Canada by the former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau." That is what, hello, Nadir, reel back to 1999 and read how Barra Jagdeo became president. Read how Jagdeo became president. He became president through the manipulation of the Constitution. Let me remind you, reminding again, I got to be careful in the words I use, because if you're reminding somebody of something, you're assuming that the person knew in the first place and may have forgotten. So I don't know that he knew and forgot. So don't let me say remind. Let me tell you, Nadir, let me tell you that in 1999, Janet Jagan was the president. I think she won the election in 1997, right? All right. She then decided she was going to, let me make sure I get it right. She resigned, and then Sam Hines, who was the prime minister, became president, right? And Jagdeo was appointed as prime minister. Look at how the manipulation, Janet Jagan resigned. Sam Hines, as the prime minister, is automatic, became the president. He then appointed Jagdeo as prime minister. And then Sam Hines resigned, and therefore Jagdeo then became president. So you tell me, you talking about Canada and and people were what you said? But no person imposed on the citizens of Canada. Jagdeo wasn't voted for when he became president. He was imposed on the citizens of Guyana, right? He was imposed on the citizens of Guyana. So let me understand this thing clearly. Let me get more. Let me go on. That what he says here now. Here what is Nadir. And here let me tell you something. That man used to tease me, But my name, Slow, S-L-O-W-E. My surname. So when I introduced myself back in the day, I tell them my name is Paul Slow. And the Slow is spelled with an E. So members of the Rifle Association, my late great friend Neville and Darren and I'm thinking that Slow with an E. Right? That was a thing. And then sometimes you used to say Slow by name and nature. Right? That joke. Who know me know that I am slow by nature. Right? When I check Nadir, the word Nadir, N-A-D-I-R, it means the bottom part, the lowest part. So that's what we have. The Nadir, the lowest part, right? I just do my research, the lowest part. Well, let me continue to think because CC got to get the little piece just now. Hear what he says. Hear what Nadir said last night in this broadcast. Hear what he said. Quote, we acknowledge with gratitude the work of the diplomatic community historically for the support of democracy in our country, a democracy which has been restored in 1992, and a democracy which has been strengthened, fortified, and continues to be developed, especially with the changes introduced by successive People's Progressive Party government. Now, dear, you serious? Right? Well, let me make a little correction because I think that Sarmines resigned first. Yeah, I think there's it. Sarmines resigned first and Jagdeo was appointed. Then Janet resigned. Thanks to the correction, student. Sarmines resigned as prime minister and they appoint Jagdeo. And it's a lot, but the point is, he wasn't elected as the president. That is the point I am making. I might have gotten the sequence a little mixed up, but the point is that Jagdeo was not elected as the president. So you talk about it. But he come here, we talk about the strength of democracy. 1992, here he says, for the support of the country, a democracy which has been restored in 1992. Well, let me go 1992. When Nadir been in 1992? In 1992, Mansour Nadir had the own political party, a party formed by Peter de Geer, named United Force. It named United Force. Then I think after Peter de Geer was with Marcellus Phelan Singh, and then Nadir took over the party. And they said the party was destroyed. So in 1992, when he's talking about the restoration of democracy, he was in the opposition. He had an opposition party. Well, no, not TUF, it was UF, United Force. And when Nadir took over the party, at some time thereafter, they changed it from UF to ZUF. Right? So it became TUF. Let me understand it clearly. That when Nadir took over that party, formed by Peter Stanislas de Geer, the same party that collated with the PNC to oust Jagan party back in the 60s, right? It was United Force. It had no Z in front. It was United Force. When Nadir was there, then it changed to the United Force. I know my civic lessons fairly well, right? Fairly well. So when Nadir talk about restoration under all this crap he talking, introduced under successive PPP government and all that, who started the process? The process started under Desmond Hoyt, when Desmond Hoyt with the Carter Center. Desmond Hoyt, president of Guyana from 1985 when Barnum died when he took over, right? That is when the old process of this reform and the talk about democracy started. Carter Center came, and Carter Center and Hoyt agreed to many changes. And let me tell you this one. There's a story that is told. Let our dear listener get belly walk. There's a story that is told. I think at the time, 1992 or sometime then, I think it's 1992. That's the first time they had counting at the place of poll. Y'all remember? As part of the reform. Nadir voted with family members at a particular polling place. Right? Listen to this carefully. This is what was related to us as senior police officers. He might vote at a particular polling place. I think he lived in Albistown area or sometime then. And counting of the place of poll. Counting of the place of poll. They said when the poll closed and the votes were counted, right? Let me give you a rough figure. Let me say that particular family had 5 members. They had less votes for that party at that particular polling place, and there was no spoil vote. So it means that they had Charandas since then. Right? So you come now and talk about democracy and all. Oh, you can talk about democracy, Nadir, and you are refusing to have that process undertaken. And you talk about democracy, right? Then hear what it says here now. That little bit, CC Bear, you shaved a little bit by. Somebody say you used to live in an Ark Street. You know, Albistown. And he voted at some place there. And the polling place when they come to the vote at the end, had less vote than his family members. And then had no spile vote. So it means if you go to the logical conclusion, like people in the household didn't vote for you, right? So you come in now and think, right? Nadir has been looking for a place in the sun for a long time. United Force broke him up. Then I remember well, I told you all before, why he was the traffic chief, Nadir was the head of the Ayakar and Minibus Association. Yeah, looking for a place in the sun. He was the head of the Ayakar and Minibus Association. And when we had the issue with the tint, he was that association led the campaign against tint. They had a thing, they should go pick it and think, we want we tint. We want we tint. And them young police under me used to tell them, we want we tint out. They used to put in the word out. And when we had to decide on the level of tint, Nadir and I worked together to put that proposal through. So I got a fairly good understanding of who he is. People say, you used to have a shaman and all that sort of thing. Well, I got some family relationship there. I ain't going into that now, right? When it come, let it come, man, let it come, right? Then it says, Stabrook Jews made several attempts to ascertain from Nadir when he would convene the meeting of the opposition MP. That's before last night. With the last response being, quote, I have no answers for you at this time, end of quote, before he disconnected the phone. So he's telling people now that he always intended to do this when he come back from India. But Stabrook Jews is saying, I don't know when they call him, but at some stage they call him, and he said, I have no answer for you at this time. And he terminated, he disconnected the call. He disconnected the call. Then, they said during his address yesterday, Nadir made mention of protest action that was taking place outside his Eccles home. He also charged that Win Party members carry out surveillance and they've infringed upon his privacy and his family's privacy. Welcome to the real world. Welcome to the real world. You're a leader of you are the speaker and you're making nice about people protesting and so on. That's part of the thing. Then he goes on to say, yeah, this is the part that got me even more riled up. Nadir said that part of this dilemma surrounding the election of the presumptive opposition leader, Mohammed, is that Mohammed is an international fugitive. So Nadir said Mohammed is an international fugitive. These people are ordinary dunce, you know. These people are ordinary dunce. Let me read to you what they say an international fugitive is. An international fugitive is a person wanted for a crime who flees their own country to escape justice, often hiding in another country to avoid arrest, prosecution, or incarceration, utilizing fake documents or aliases to cross border and finance their flight through further criminal acts. International bodies like Interpol help track down via red notices, which alert police worldwide though apprehension relies on cooperation between countries and extradition treaties. So that is an international fugitive. So I tell you, what's the international fugitive? He drink from the same cup as Nandalal. He drink from the same cup, right? Nandalal refers to him as a fugitive offender. I think he doubled down last night on this fugitive thing. But read, even Charandas in a post, in a video last night, tell them what a fugitive, or who a fugitive is. Charandas, the same Charandas who brought down the coalition government, who went to India's ambassador and was kicked out. Get a lot of them around the place, you know. Many of them, they have no moral compass, none whatsoever. Right? Now that they get it and it break, they never had the compass. Right? Now, here what it says. He goes on to say, quote, I have found myself in this difficult position to hold the election of the leader of the opposition when I know that the presumptive leader of the opposition to be elected, Azuddin Mohammed, is an international fugitive. Nadir saying, sir, that Azuddin Mohammed is an international fugitive. Of international fugitive who went to see him yesterday. An international fugitive who was outside of his home last night leading a protest. That is what you call a fugitive. An international fugitive who attends court in Guyana on every occasion is required to do that. A man who is seen all over the place is an international fugitive. That's what Mandu Nadir said, following the same line of Nanlal. That is what it said. Right? Then he goes on to say, this is the article, while acknowledging the legal principle that a person is innocent until proven guilty, Nadir said that if a person is called to face charges, quote, a person's action should not be running away. If innocent, person should face the charges before them in a court of law. So when you're running away, you are equating challenging an extradition proceeding to running away. What wrong to this man is what he drink. What did Nadir consume? What he consumed was even lower than his name to make statements like that on the national television. This is not a man sit down in a rum shop and you get rum shop gaff where the liquor get the better of you and you're talking stupidness. This is a man who went on national television to tell people this. There's a saying. Let me tell you what they say. They say I had a quote here, and I'm going to paraphrase. They say that it's better to keep your mouth shut and let people think of you as a fool than to open your mouth and conform it. That's paraphrasing. The thing they said was the presidents in the U.S., Lincoln, and so one of the poets said that it's better to keep your mouth shut and let people believe that you're a fool than to open your mouth and conform it. All what Nadir did last night was to open his mouth and confirm all that you were thinking. That the reason why he was not calling the meeting had to do with the fact that they didn't want Azzuddin Mohammed to be elected as the leader of the opposition. And then we talk about the man is a fugitive and so on, right? Then you think, no, not only that, as I said on on Monday, who country people, I can't get to them in countryman roots, Say mouth shaped like batty, God will shoot shit. And the interpretation of that is that if your mouth is shaped like an anus, it has to defecate. And that's what we see happening in a lot of places, a lot of times. For a speaker of the National Assembly, and people say the most unqualified person ever to get that position, Mansour Nadir, for be conforming that is not suitable for the position. Conforming. But once you're with the PPP, what you expect? Not for them then unqualified for the position that they hold to. Right? And then here it goes on. Because here the man telling you that if you don't know of the presumption of innocence, you don't know of the rule of law, even if you're accused of something, you have a right, you're innocent until proven guilty. Or unless you're a police and the kid is a commissioner. So when you get certain things, you dismiss your right to it. There's no innocence until proven guilty. Right? Then he goes on to say here, if opposition members of parliament feel it morally right to elect an international fugitive, here he goes with that phrase again, then the stain on our parliament and our country rests solely with them. He said emphatically, I think that such a scenario would be unprecedented in Guyana's Westminster system. Hear what Nadir saying, like, y'all share this life, man, share this life. He said, if opposition members of parliament feel it morally right to elect an international fugitive, then the stain on our parliament and our country rests solely with them. Here the comment with stain on parliament again. Nonetheless, said the same thing. Parliament already stained. Now let me say this. Let me remind them. CC, please bear with me. In the mood, bear with me. Let me remind Nadir that in 2020, right, when Irfan Ali was sworn in as president, he had 19 fraud charges pending. Those charges was dropped after, but at the time when he was sworn in as president, he had 19 fraud charges pending. So they jump in and tell you what, as we didn't get 11 rather, you have 11 indictments. Yeah, that is maybe so. Someplace in Florida indicted 11. But when we president and as it is not to be president, is to be the speaker, not speaker, the opposition leader, right? Again, I say, Irfan Ali had 19 fraud charges against him. So I don't know what he's talking about. Nandalal had a book thief charge against him too. Ashni Singh had charge against him as well. So what is it that Nadir trying to say? And then he uses the word morally right. Nadir always morally right. You know, you talk about morally right, and you didn't know it would be morally right to call a meeting when it was to be called long before now. Right? You know that? I want to say this, Mr. Nadir. Similar to how you banned the word corruption in the last parliament, they should move a motion for the word moral and morality and the word to be banned from you speaking it. They should stop you from calling those words. Right? Now, Nadir went further, invoking the name of Colombian drug lord Pablo Escobar as an example of a notorious figure entering parliamentary life. He said Pablo Escobar went down the route of becoming an honorable member of parliament. Extortion, money laundering, terrorism, and trafficking were all associated with Pablo Escobar. What are you trying to say? What is he trying to say? Then he goes on. He also remarked that Escobar had also, listen to this carefully, he said that Escobar, quote, had also a darling in the press, and that he has been, end of quote, and that he has been carrying over the past few weeks a great burden as he read and watched. And, quote, I listened to the comments hurled at the staff of Parliament and the Speaker and being badgered by lies being spread by Stabrook News. Mark called out Stabrook News, end of quote. In response to the Speaker's statement, the editor-in-chief of Stabrook News, Anand Prasad, called on Nadir to provide evidence to substantiate his allegations. That will never be forthcoming. That is never going to be forthcoming. That evidence to substantiate that he was being badgered by other Stabrook News and so on. They can't face up to the reality and the truth. That is the problem with them. Y'all continue to share. Then the last part, well, let me read through this thing and then there are a couple more things I wanted to point out. The Speaker also cited nasty comments being spewed by Mohammed, quote, accusing me of corruption and many other things, end of quote. And that, quote again, I am not going to be intimidated by any backyard or front yard bully, end of quote. He said, quote again, no international fugitive, no wanted man or woman, nor the acolytes inside or outside of the house will face me. That is what he said. The international fugitive again, you're referring to the thing. God send it to school, you know. God send it to school. Like learn the lesson and thing. Then he says here, it was later confirmed that Nadir was out of the country in November, but questions were raised about whether the Deputy Speaker could convene a meeting to elect the opposition leader. However, when asked by Stabrook News whether the Deputy Speaker could call such a meeting, Clerk of the National Assembly, Charlotte Isaacs, stated that, quote, listen to this, the Constitution states that the meeting must be convened by the Speaker of the National Assembly, end of quote. That is what Charlotte Isaacs, the Clerk of the National Assembly, said. But as I indicated to you, if you read Article 158(7) of the Constitution, it says that in the absence of the Speaker, if you're out of the country anyway, the Deputy Speaker can carry out the function. And if it is that they felt that this function was of such importance, the Deputy Speaker could have done it. But even before you get to the Deputy Speaker, Nadir could have done it the same day that the members were sworn in, as happened in the past, same day. Then they say, this is what the President said, when the President tell you, quote, Mr. Mohammed has no influence, has not influenced any government. Let me read it back. Mr. Mohammed has not influenced anything the government does in relation to Parliament or do our development agenda. This is what the President said. Yeah, the President had said to the opposition The opposition can elect whoever they want as opposition leader. That's their business. We have no business in the opposition election, whether they want, in the opposition elected whoever they want. Our only business is advancing our development agenda. Then they go on to say, finally, before I bring in Mr. Conway, notably, neither the government nor the ruling People's Progressive Party has called on Nadir to convene the meeting of the opposition MPs, and the government has not sought a meeting of Parliament since the ceremonial first sitting on November the 3rd, despite stating it has a busy legislative agenda. So, folks, that is what Nadir came out last night to tell people. But let me say this, as the last thing I read is saying, that notably the government nor the ruling People's Progressive Party has called on Nadir to convene a meeting of the opposition. I believe that they did just the opposite. They called him not to have the meeting. So I am saying that is my belief. I'm entitled to my view. And my view is that they called on him not to have the meeting. Right? Not to have the meeting. As I say, other land. The Deputy Speaker, Richard, I can't remember the man's name, but he's one of the PPP member of Parliament. He was elected on the same day as the Deputy Speaker of the Assembly. Can't remember his exact name, but you check it and see it. CC, come get a little batin, man, about land, and I need a water break. Yeah, go ahead, my brother. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you. History will reveal that there are two things that the government would take note of and act: internal and external. If there are serious protests, they shutting down the place internally, and when they have utterances influenced by the international community. We didn't have the protests as many people had expected, but the diplomats call on the government to ensure, not directly, well, they got to be diplomatic, that a speaker, not a speaker, a leader of the opposition is selected. But government had Mansour Nadir. I listened to him, and the more I listen to him, the more I remember a word used by Dr. Roger Luncheon, a furial blast, when Manichan and them go and abuse down the U.S. ambassador at the residence. I remember that. And then when you look at Nadir, somebody called him a non-resident speaker. A non-resident speaker. He said that he was waiting until he returned from that conference in India before he would call the parliament for the election of a speaker, of a leader of the opposition. So many things, went wrong. Part of what he said that they received 90 motions, which it dealt with. Amazing. Because the motions were submitted by the opposition people, and they had to get a say. They have to get discussions. They have to get confabulation. So receiving them doesn't mean to say that the parliament was active. No way that the opposition got to meet with the government and be able to put forward a point, argue the point there. But the more that they talk, the more, I wonder, or the more I'm saying that, as you mentioned, that he's Nadir by name and nature. So many things he mentioned. Bring in Pablo Escobar. Talk about international fugitive, and blast down the members of the diplomatic corps. And there is like a law unto himself. When the thing was simple, just call a meeting and get election of a speaker and deputy speaker. And get the leader of the opposition. But no, waiting and waiting and waiting till the 9th hour when they're under pressure. Is either you do it or you're under pressure. And it's called it. But then I'm suspicious of them, I won't be surprised if there are some charandasses about the place. I won't be surprised if the chaos rip, although it is mineral, is flowing. I won't be surprised. You heard the president say he didn't know if the leader version would be a he or a she. Something, according to what politicians say, something not regular. There's an air of uncertainty. There's an air of suspicion in place. But I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I don't trust Nadir. I don't trust him. And perhaps things in place. Charandas, a lot of charandasses may be around. And the chaos rip will say, although it is mineral, it is flowing.
Right, but let me say this. The question was asked, who is the deputy speaker? See, one of the students answered, but the deputy speaker is Dr. Vishwa Mahadev, right? He was elected deputy speaker the same day when Nadir was elected speaker. He's a member of parliament for the government side, Dr. Vishwa Mahadev. And what CC was alluding to, I said, between now and Monday, we got to check to see if Mr. Opel is going to be making a visit to Guyana. Jackie Opel, let me see if Kaship can pass. We can't remember what the president said. Listen, let me remind you all.
The opposition leader will be a he or she. You're assuming that the opposition leader will be a he. I think that's a very big assumption. There might be a view that the opposition leader might be a he. But I can't predict what will happen.
Let me interpret that. You saying that Azzuddin Mohammed will be the leader of the opposition? You know that it's Azzuddin Mohammed? That's a big presumption. It can be, but I'm not. That is what that is basically saying. So when you sit down and believe that whenever this meeting is called, now scheduled for Monday, 10 o'clock, that Azzuddin Mohammed will be elected as the leader of the opposition. Let us wait and see. They got, I believe, a lot of thing going on behind the scene. We had a man, and Toro and them by Ganoi, I used to use a lot of wrong word. They call it malapropism, no? Right? And he would say maybe agrotiations. He wouldn't say negotiations. He might say maybe agrotiations are taking place. Maybe. So let me see. Let us see, because there are 29 members of the opposition. So therefore, it's 15 you got to get for vote for whoever you want to vote for, 15. The Win party has 16 seats, and the other party 12, and the other one get 1. So let me see what is going to happen. Hopefully by Monday this time, we're going to hear what transpires. But as I say, as I've said repeatedly, and I continue to say, don't trust these people. They are desperate. They are desperate. Things went pear-shaped with them when the magistrate granted Azuddin Mohammed bail. I am convinced about that. Because had he not been granted bail, he would never been allowed to be sworn in as a member of parliament. And if you're not sworn in as a member of parliament, you can be leader of the opposition. And if he was not sworn in on that day, Mansour Nadi show you exactly. He would have never called any other meeting to swear in Azuddin Mohammed. So if Azuddin Mohammed didn't miss it on that day, the 3rd of November, he would have never been a member of parliament. But as I said, God is in charge. Azuddin is a Muslim. They say Allah is in charge. Allah in charge. Now let me move on. I got a few minutes I want to spend with this very disturbing development in this matter. I refer here to the sex scandal in the police training institution. Sex scandal. We reported here on the last occasion where big sex going on there. Right? And here, let me pull up my notes. I want misrepresent anything. Big sex going on. It is claimed that the female trainees have to have sexual intercourse with male instructors and so on. Right? It is claimed too that even male trainees have to buy alcoholic beverages for the expensive alcohol beverages for the instructors and all everything. And allegations were made before, right? That they have sexual relationship between male and male in the training facility. That is what was said, in the training facility. Now, yesterday, the Ministry of Home Affairs came out with a statement, right? Because they have now what you call irrefutable evidence. This is not only he said, she said, them said. The people get video showing someone who is said to be a female trainee down on her knees. They had a song like that, you know, down on your knees. Is it Aswad or somebody? Can't remember now. Down on your knees. She was down on her knees. And when you look at the comment, she was playing to the saxophone. She's a saxophonist. Down on the knees. Right? Now, I saw, well, they claim, first of all, that they have this investigation to inquire into this matter, right? I understand that they're saying that the person with whom this female trainee was is not an instructor. They say it's trainee and trainee. As to suggest that trainee and trainee having sexual activity in the academy, as they call it, in what is said to be the instructor's office is okay. Oh, it's not an instructor she de blowing. It's another trainee. So to suggest, well, it's all right. Right? And the information is, and let me tell them, because I want to know when you Raja, yes. Yes. I know me music people, let me, man. Down on your knees by Raja. Raja. Right? So the information is, and here let me tell them, I want to know why I just get all this information, why I get my sources. Right? That is a female special constable in training. And to make matters even worse, it is being said that the male who was being blown is not a staff at the training facility. Yeah, he a police. He used to be a staff. He's no longer staff. Makes matters worse. So the person who's not a staff now can come in, have access to the instructor's office, and be blown. That is what you have, which makes matters worse. I said sometimes they must shut them out. I said this in the day, shut your mouth and let people believe that you're stupid than to open your mouth and to confirm it. Right? Because that is what I hear part of the thing is. And hear what it says here. This is HGP News again. In the wake of the Ministry of Home Affairs press release ordering a probe into allegations of sexual abuse at the police training school. Fresh claims from within the institution suggest an effort is underway to deflect responsibility away from senior ranks. Several trainees who say they are victims of abuse have told HGP Nightly News that the narrative now being advanced publicly misrepresents what is actually taking place inside the compound. The trainees reject assertion that the controversy centers on consensual relationship among recruits. While acknowledging that such relationships do exist between trainee couples, they insist this is being used as a smokescreen to obscure a far more serious issue, alleged abuse of authority by members of staff. According to the account shared with this newsroom, the incident captured in the now circulating video did not involve two trainees. Instead, the trainee alleged it involved a female recruit with a serving rank who was not stationed at the training school but was nevertheless inside the compound on the night in question, along with other ranks, despite rules prohibiting visitors after hours. The complaint alleged that officers were socializing inside the compound and that established security protocols were either ignored or deliberately bypassed. The question how such conduct could have occurred when a sentry, a duty officer, a subordinate officer, inquiry officer staff, and a medic were reportedly on duty with ranks posted at strategic points throughout the facility. Quote, these are not accidental lapses, end of quote, the trainee argues. Quote again, with multiple layers of security in place, unauthorized access and activity inside offices could not have happened without internal involvement, end of quote. Compounding concerns are claims that the focus of the investigation has shifted away from the alleged actions of staff and towards the circulation of the video itself. The trainees allege that the female recruit seen the footage has since claimed that she was being blackmailed. The female recruit seen in the footage alleged that she's being blackmailed by fellow trainees, an allegation that has prompted the involvement of investigators. However, the whistleblower maintained that this line of inquiry conveniently diverts attention from what they describe as the original misconduct and the alleged role of senior ranks on the night in question. Trainees also report growing fear within the compound amid warnings that mobile phones will soon be confiscated. They say such a move would silence victims, suppress evidence, and leave trainees more vulnerable to abuse without any means of documentation or protection. The trainees contend that these measures will amount to a violation of their rights and form part of a broader effort to reframe the issue as one of trainee indiscipline rather than abuse of power by those entrusted with authority and supervision. That is what is happening, And as I anticipate, yes, sir, the minister came out with a release, said OPR investigated. In November, on the last program I had said 3-4 months ago, it was as recent as November last year when you had a similar allegation. And what did they do? They jumped and they transferred, I think, 3 or 4 of the instructors who were alleged to have been involved in this big set of nasty, stinking sexual activity in the training facility, including allegation of female having to do abortion. Imagine all of that going on there. And the minister, who seems to have had advanced military training because she fallen and covered down. That's the impression I get. The new minister, fallen and covered down. That's military training. Because she said, OPR, Office of Professional Responsibility, and the CID will be investigated. Since November last year, and people are saying, and I agree, that had they taken the appropriate action then, perhaps even before, the thing would not get to this stage. So all of them are responsible. All of them should be held accountable. You had this bombshell allegation in November 2025, and then now in January 2026, Now the allegation now is supported by video evidence. So I guess now they can't duck and say, well, it's he said, she said story. Video evidence. I have seen the video. That disgraceful video. Trainee down on her knees. According to the Raja sang. Down on her knees. Blowing the mail. And they're saying now that the male is not even stationed in training school, but he was allowed access to that compound to engage in that activity. Before I bring in CC, let me think this. We might go a little over time today because I want to talk something more about this. This is Big Smith this morning. Big Smith used to attack me and CC, but he don't attack us any longer. But he used to attack me and CC, call me geriatric. He said all sort of things, you know, you ain't gonna mind grand picnic, all sort of things he said. But he wrote a post this morning, and I am in agreement with the post. And I don't bear malice. So the fact that the post was written by Big Smith doesn't mean that I would not read it. Right? Now let me a public appeal to the public and police recruits, past and present. Hear what Big Smith wrote. And I say I agree. If you have been sexually harassed, exploited, or taken advantage of sexually, the Ministry of Home Affairs has ordered a criminal investigation into these incidents and you should come forward. The ministry has stated clearly that irrespective of rank of those involved in exploiting the young girls, and irrespective of when the incident took place, the matter will be investigated. Rape and sexual exploitation is a serious crime, and those bastards need to go to. He said, he said, serious crime. Send those bastards to jail. Come forward with your story and get the justice you need. No one who is an authority over you should be forcing you to have sexual relationship with them. It is wrong, and they are committing an offense under the Sexual Offences Act. Jail awaits them. To the members of the public in the comment section, use your comment to encourage these victims to come forward. Do not bash them, but rather provide the necessary encouragement and support to them through your kind words. You must understand that most of these girls are afraid to come forward because of how society reacts to these stories. When these stories of rape and sexual exploitation come to the public, we need to be united in our call for justice for the victims, sanctions for the perpetrators, and ensure that these acts are not covered up. Stop. Take a moment to breathe. Now think about you enrolling your little beautiful female god angel into nursery school, and then someone start interfering with them. Do you know how that will break your heart? Ladies and gentlemen, if you have anyone in the police academy or who may have passed through recently, ask them if they have suffered sexual exploitation. Give them your full support and then accompany them to report these matters. It is not their fault. For years, we have been hearing about these incidents in the police college. For years, it was all talk and no action because officers covered for officers. On Tuesday, the Ministry of Home Affairs made a bold statement. Let us see if they are really and truly interested in addressing this demonic behavior. Put them on the spot. Give them the evidence they need and are asking for. And if they fail to act, then we know that it's just another talk shop. We all have the power right now, this very moment, to make it all stop. What are we waiting for? Or what are we going to do? That is what Big Smith wrote, and I agree with Big Smith. I agree. But I say this before I bring in CC. Right? Again, if action was taken, at least in November, there are previous things we are going to that. We don't have the time now to go into that. There are previous allegations where senior people, appropriate approaches to recruit. I'm gonna give you. I can't start it now because our 2 hours are almost finished. But we're gonna go into that at some later stage, right? Because if the correct action was taken at that time, that might serve as a deterrent to all these things. But the thing is a culture, it seems to be cultural now. That once these recruits go there, female recruits in particular, they have to give it up to make sure that they get passed to the pass examination. What really going on? And in all of this, you get the commissioner silent, cat-eaty tongue, he can't say nothing. He cannot. Because don't forget, he was in charge there once. I don't know if when Big Smith called in and people to come forward, I know Big Smith and the commissioner had a very good relationship, good working relationship, that is. So y'all don't interpret nothing. They had a good working relationship. And therefore, they say, now what he's asking for these people to come forward, let them come forward. Especially, look, let me say this. The ones in the system might be afraid because despite what they said, they mightn't trust the Ministry of Home Affairs. And I can understand that. They can't trust the system, right? But the ones who are out, who are abused and are out of the system now, they should be the one coming forward to reveal exactly what transpired. And let me say this too, because I read comments and so on. Some people tell it, even this morning, saying, oh, they're going on forever. Somebody says since Adam and Eve were infants, they're going on and so on. I am saying this. This has gone to another level or another depth. Because as we have said before, while you have always had or suspect that there was some clandestine, some relationship, now what you see going on here now, not sexual pass. And if you don't know, civilian no pass mean that you get a little 2 hours to go home or a weekend, right? That is what pass means. That the trainees are there and normally you're not allowed to leave the compound unless you're going a wrong day for some type of duty. But then you have pass, some afternoon pass, 2 hours, 3 hours. You get weekend pass where you leave. I don't know what time you leave now in our day. You leave Saturday morning, you come back Sunday night. That was a big thing. So people about women, they claim, have to give it up to get past. Men are going to buy expensive liquor to get past. That is what is alleged to be going on. And again, I don't have any confidence in the people who say going to investigate. This requires, if you really and truly want to know what's going on, call a commission of inquiry, or well, I remember in Larry Lewis says you call a board of inquiry. But with the officers that you have here now, well, nobody entrusts what's going on. Call a commission of inquiry to inquire specifically into this matter. That is what you need to have. When we say OPR investigate, OPR is investigate. Everything is OPR investigated. OPR was investigated in November, and we can't hear what happened yet. People were transferred, you can't hear what happened yet. And here now, one of the things here, they decided a part of the solution is to move all of the female recruits from Georgetown to Adventure Bobbies, which is punishment now on them. Move all. So if you live in town or you live elsewhere, you get a couple of pass, you can go home. They're carrying you to Adventure on the quarantine. Right? That is the solution. These brainless people. As I said on Monday, shut the damn place down. Right? And do a comprehensive review of everything. Restaff it with decent, knowledgeable instructors. Shut the place down. That is what it requires. Right? Let me bring in CC. Yes, CC, go ahead.
There are so many issues involved, Paul. I want to use some words, but certain things will prevent me from doing so. And looking at today's paper, today's Starbuck News, very interesting article. I'm going to read part of it. So, last November, among allegations that have swirled around the Ghana police force, Minister of Home Affairs, Onij Warren, had asserted that the administration had no tolerance for sexual offenses. Let me repeat that part. That the administration had no tolerance for sexual offenses. When questioned about the sexual offenses taking place within the police academy, Warren said, these officers are constantly being disciplined. Hear that? These officers are constantly being disciplined, and their names is before the OPR, Office of Professional Responsibility, and they have been removed immediately as the reports come out. Attention, it was dealt with. An officer and 3 sergeants were transferred from the Ghana Police Force Academy, Georgetown campus, following allegations of improper conduct and statement from the Ghana Police Force said in October 13. A case file has been expected to be sent to the Director of Public Prosecution for advice. There has been no word yet about disciplinary and criminal charges. Here it is. Serious allegations against people. We hear discipline matters is being taken. The names are before the OPR. Full stop. They get transferred. Full stop. Well, let me try to put things in proper context. And let's face reality. And reality is what is happening. Not what you expect to happen or like to happen. It is what is happening now. Where there, and let's face facts, where there are men and women, certain relationship is expected to develop. Jump high, jump low. But there can't be no broader situation. There can't be out of control situation where trainees having sex, or as we say, blow job, in of all places, the instructor's office. And the police is happy, very happy to say, oh, it didn't involve instructors, it involved trainees. And in all places, the instructor's office. In my days, the instructor's office was sacrosanct. Sacrosanct. If trainees even frightened to pass on there. But then when you look at situation, Paul, you want to know who are the persons at the college. I say over and over again, I'm not hitting the door. It's nothing personal. But the person in charge of training, totally training, she went to Russia, studied there, forensic science, has no background whatsoever in training, doesn't understand the nature of adult learning, doesn't understand pedagogy from andragogy, and she's there. And then they will call it commandant, another female, no training background, very little police knowledge is there. And instructors, very little police knowledge, and cannot differentiate between the nature of adult learning and how children learn. Because one of the big mistakes they make, Paul, is that they send a whole set of people they call instructors to Cyril Potter College of Education to deal with training. And Cyril Potter College of Education dealing with pedagogy, how students learn, how children learn. So they come back and they get it. And they get people there with no really moral standard. I won't call the name. But remember nowadays, we have some female instructors. I don't call some name. People like Tessa Isaacs, people like Ingrid Wiltshire, people like the one who come off as Deputy Commissioner, Maxine Graham, Vesta Adams, Audrey Small, Odetta Hall, and the other woman there who came from the national service money collect. Where trainees couldn't do nonsense, females couldn't think there. And me as the force training officer, I used to give them boundaries. I know things will happen, but it can't happen at the college. And my boundaries, the boundaries you give them, I say, hey, if you all want to do your stuff, boundaries. 400 meters north of the seawall, west of the Demerara River, east of Vicinjon Road, and south of Brick Dam. If you all want to do your stuff, go around there. Go around. Those are the boundaries. I believe like CLR James, play beyond the boundaries. Jump high, jump low. Things are going to take place. But you got to get more standards. And you got to get people to mentor them, people to talk to them. But here the minister saying, hey, we got zero tolerance to that. And report made, apart from transfer, apart from saying OPR investigated, CID investigated. And here's it to the minister. You said the squatter ain't saying anything. But the minister directive is to OPR and CID. When the directive must be to the squatter, hey, you the commissioner, I want investigation and report by X time. That's how it should be. The squatter rightly not say nothing because he's not involved in it. Deal with the top. And it will continue. In another session, I will talk more about the case. So much you could talk about the college, so much I can talk about it. That they approaching it wrong. Always remember, and I always talk about Bill Clinton when Timothy McVeigh and his partner bombed Oklahoma City. I think it's 160 something people die. Numerous buildings get destroyed. And Bill Clinton said, the action we will take will be swift, will be certain, will be appropriate. All they get to work with was a rider truck exploded. And they were able to do meticulous work, good forensic work, and find the VIN, vehicle identity number. I hear a lot of things with them cars important about VIN. Vehicle identity number. With a big explosion, they find the big VIN. And they were able to trace that Timothy McVeigh was the person who rented that rider truck. And Bill Clinton said, the action shall be swift, shall be certain, shall be appropriate. Was arrested shortly afterward, charged, and the punishment was death by lethal injection. Here's what you're saying, that you're going to take action, and you ain't taking no action. Nobody ain't feeling anything. So the thing will continue, and it will continue unabated.
Thanks to that. Now, I need to make an apology. When announcing the board days earlier, I referred to Inspector Lake as a female. Inspector Lake is actually a male. So apologies to board day boy Inspector Lake, who is observing a natal day today. And I noted someone, he commented here that Monica Light passed. I didn't hear that. So about a month ago, somebody commented to say that they learned that Monica Light passed about a month ago. I really did not hear that. I don't know how true it is. But for those female trainees and female in general, I have a song I want to play, and I want you to listen to the words very, very carefully. Females, not only the police females, but all females. Here we go.
dignity.
Yeah, singing Sandra. Die with your dignity, women. Die with your dignity. Right? Die with your dignity. I think it is an appropriate song, so I thought I'd play it now for these women and girls who may be listening. Now, again, I spoke just now, somebody said about Monica Light. I understand Monica Light that we know of is very much alive. The Mary Light died not so long ago, but is not the same person. Mary Light used to be at CAD headquarters. We did report here and death, but Monica Light, who came from the National Service, right, and National Guard Service, is very much alive, I understand. So don't call death on my friend Monica, right? Don't call death on my friend Monica Light. So Mary Light and Monica Light are not the same person. So again, the song I think was very appropriate. Ben telling me I'm dropping these songs. I think I get enough more, man. Appropriate songs. Appropriate to get the message across. So, folks, we've had a long morning. Let me bring in CC to give his closing remarks, and then we're going to take our leave of you and see you on the next thing. CC, your closing, please.
I'm happy that you clarified that Monica is very much alive. For the matter I spoke with her recently, in goodwill, she could confirm some sort, and she might put something in the thing telling no, Monica is very much alive. I love the song. I love it. Very appropriate. Very, very appropriate. And I think we must play it a little more often. A little more often.
I have a lot of songs to play, man. I got a lot of songs to play. I'm pulling them up, pulling them up, and making sure. So it is confirmed that Monica Light, Mary Light died. Monica Light is alive, right? Monica Light. Folks, we have had a long morning. There are issues that we have not been able to touch on, right? But even some of the issues that we touched on, like the sex scandal and Mansour Nadir and the convening of the meeting to elect the leader of the opposition, these are matters we will continue to monitor. We will continue to monitor and to follow up. Now, before I close, let me again thank all those who have been making contributions to the upkeep of this program, financial contribution. We thank you. For those of you who have not made, we thank you for your attendance. Because today what we had on the live over 2,600 on YouTube. So we thank you. That is the type of support. All we ask you now is to assist in popularizing this channel. Subscribe, refer people to the channel, and so on. And that will ensure that more people get the word. This is what they don't like, They don't want the truth to go out there. People like Mansour Nadir went last night and talk a whole set of things. They want then people to sit back quietly and accept the nonsense that he said. Right? That is what they want. At the training school, in the institution, the commission and the minister and these people want, they must make a statement and we mustn't call them out. So they can make a statement since November to tell us about OPR investigating, and months down the road, anything happen. And there's a repeat of the same incidents that were reported in November. We gotta keep calling them out. We gotta keep calling them out. Now, I almost forgot to tell you, I did say on Monday I had court yesterday. Now, Ghana is not a real place, I was informed I was in court on the previous occasion, and I was told that the matter comes up at on the 20th at 1:15 in the afternoon. So I made a note of that, 1:15. So yesterday now, I am preparing to go to court. I wasn't certain that my lawyers realized that it's 1:15. So I sent a note to say, hey, don't forget, it's 1:15. I got a response. It was virtual. I got a response that the matter called at 9. The matter called at 9 o'clock. And the matter is adjourned to the 16th of February for report. Imagine that. I was told the marshal said 1:15 on the 20th of January. That was since in October. So, all right. So, me now, I don't miss them type of thing. So, I'm communicating with my lawyer now to confirm that he knows that is 1:15. Same time he telling me, communicating with telling me, the matter called at 9 and has been adjourned to the 16th of February at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's other thing, oh Lord, this place in ordinary, This place in ordinary. Imagine now, next thing if I wasn't represented, they're going to say I absent. They're going to say they absent and they asking for apply for an arrest warrant to be issued. That is what was likely to happen. But I was represented and I don't, so the 16th. So I have a matter now. Today is the 21st. I have one on the 23rd, which is Friday coming in the High Court. I have a civil action, a civil matter on the 23rd. So I'll keep you all posted. Keep you all posted on what's going on, man. But remember, God is in charge. And as I say, God is in charge and all will be well. God is in charge and all will be well. I put my trust and my faith in him. You might not see me running to church every Sunday. You might not hear me singing psalms and preaching and all these type of things. You know, but I'm a believer. I believe in doing good. I believe in justice. I believe that the good will always triumph over evil. Folks, we had a long morning. Thanks for your wonderful attendance. And God spare life. We're gonna come here again on Friday afternoon. On Friday is 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, which is 5 p.m. Guyana time. So until then, God spare life till Friday at 4 p.m. Stay well. Bye.
Speaking out, yeah. Up comes Parslow and Mr. Clinton, Conway, speaking and exposing corruption each and every day. Yeah. Guyanese, turn on your TV and go to YouTube and listen to what Parslow and Conway to say. Yeah. Whole day we are calling for Parslow and Clinton Conway. They teach and educating, exposing the things in the system. We need a better Guyana for the little boys and the children poor. Slow and Clinton Conway.
All the money they invest, 2.2 billion.
Hear me when I sing. Yeah. Oh. Guyanese at home and abroad. Please log into Conway as wide as it can reach. Parslow, you always will preach. Oh, yeah. Like and share, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so this message could reach as far. And every Guyanese will feel well. Oh, yes. Yeah. Parslow and Clinton Conway. Every day.
All the money they invest, 2.2 billion of our money. That money could have been invested someplace. They have to
Like the issues